Hi everyone, this is Mrs. Schoaf. Today we're going to continue working on adding and subtracting fractions. So we're adding and subtracting fractions day 2. At the end of this lesson, we're going to take a quiz. So yesterday we should have left off with number 9 and we're ready for number 10. So make sure you're following along on your sheet of paper in your notebook. We're starting with number 10. So we have 3/10 minus 1/4. Remember from yesterday, when we add and subtract fractions, we have to get common denominators, right? Okay. So when you write this on your paper, you want to put 3/10 first minus 1/4. So you're going to write your problem going up and down. Our denominators are 10 and 4. So I'm trying to find a number that 10 and 4 both go into. I could take 10 times 4 and use 40, but there is a smaller denominator. So if I think about counting by 10s, or the multiples of 10, 10, 20, 30, 40, and then counting by 4s, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, notice that 20 is a number that 10 and 4 both go into. It would not be wrong to use 40. It's just easier sometimes to use the least common denominator because you have less simplifying to do. So we're going to change these both to something over 20. Do this with me. So I'm going to go back up here and I'm going to say, okay, what do I multiply by 10 to get 20? Well, 10 times 2 is 20. So since I take 10 times 2 to get 20, I've got to take 3 times 2 to get 6. So whatever you multiply the denominator by, you have to multiply the numerator by. I go to the bottom fraction. 4 times what's 20? 4 times 5 is 20. So that means I have to take 1 times 5 to get 5. Now I can subtract. I can take 6 20ths minus 5 20ths to get 1 20th. But then I have to see if 1 20th is in simplest form. It is, because the only number that goes into 1 and 20 is 1. So that would be my final answer. Okay, so looking at number 11, when you write it in your folder or in your notebook, write it going up and down. So I'm going to go ahead and write 2/15 plus 4/9 going up and down because I have to get a common denominator. Okay, so I could take 15 times 9 to get a common denominator, but that's going to be a high number. If I think about counting by 15s, 15, 30, 45, and then counting by 9s, 9, 8, 27, 36, 45, notice 45 is a number that 9 and 15 both go into. So my least common denominator is 45. So what I want you to do on your paper is go over here and change the denominators so they're 45. If the denominators change, you have to change the numerators as well. So if I go back, I'm going to ask myself, what do I multiply by 15 to get 45? Well, 1 times 15 is 15. 2 times 15 is 30. 3 times 15 is 45. Okay, so that's times 3. So that means I have to take the 2 times 3. 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, now I'm going to go to the 4/9 and I'm going to ask myself, what do I multiply by 9 to get 45? Well, 9 times 5 is 45, so I want to take 4 times 5. 4 times 5 is 20. Now be very careful. A mistake some students make is accidentally subtracting when they're supposed to add or add when they subtract. So I am adding 6 plus 20. 6 plus 20 is 26. My denominator stays the same. It stays at 45. Now I got to think about, can I reduce this? Well, 2 will go into 26, but 2 won't go into 45. That's an odd number. Let's see, 5 goes into 45, but 5 won't go into 26. 9 goes into 45, but 9 won't go into 26. So that is in simplest form. So my answer would be 26/45. All right, so next we're going to look at some word problems. And sometimes the hardest part about the word problems is trying to decide, should I add or subtract? So looking at this problem, it says Jake ate 5/6 of a pizza and Jalen ate 1/8 of a pizza. How much more did Jake eat compared to Jalen? They want to know how much more. So how much bigger is 5/6 compared to 1/8? Do you think we should add or subtract? Good, you should subtract. So when I subtract, I'm going to put the 5/6 first because that is more. They're telling us Jake ate more. How much more did he eat? We're going to find out by taking 5/6 minus 1/8. Okay, remember you got to get a common denominator. We could take 6 times 8 and get 48. There is something lower. If I count by sixes, 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, and then count by eights, 8, 16, 24, 32. Notice they both have a 24 in common. So you could use 48, and that would be fine. You just have to do more reducing. Or you could use 24. 24 is smaller. So I'm going to go ahead and use 24 so I don't have to simplify my fractions so much. Okay, I want you to finish this. So go ahead and pause the video. And when you get all the way done and have simplified your answer, click play and we'll see how you did. Okay, so now that you've hit play, you should be all the way done. So let's go back and check. What do I multiply by 6 to get 24? Let's see, 6 times 4 is 24. So 5 times 4 is 20. So see if you made your first fraction 20 over 24. What do I multiply by 8 to get 24? 8 times 3 is 24. So I got to take 1 times 3 to get 3. Right, now I'm subtracting. Not adding, so I gotta take 20 minus 3 to get 17 over 24. Okay. Now I gotta see if that's in simplest form. Well, the only numbers that go into 17 are 1 and 17. 17 is a prime number, and 17 won't go into 24. And I don't want to divide by 1, so I'll get the same answer back. So see if you had 17 24s. Okay, let's look at the next one. Shannon walked 2/3 of a mile and Amy walked 1/4 of a mile. How many miles did they walk all together? So what if the question says, how many all together? Would we add or would we subtract? Yes, we would add. How many all together means add. So on your paper, put 2/3 plus 1/4. You're going to add. And it really doesn't matter whether you put 2/3 first or the 1/4 first. Okay, once you have this written on your paper, I want you to hit pause on the video, work it out, and when you get done, hit play and we'll check your answer. Okay, now that you've hit play, let's see how you did. The least common denominator is 12. 3 and 4 both go into 12. Okay, 3 times 4 is 12, so 2 times 4 is 8. So see if you have 8/12 for the first fraction. The second fraction, 4 times 3 is 12, so 1 times 3 is 3. Now I got to be very careful and make sure I add. 8 plus 3 is 11. Is that in simplest form? Well, 11 goes into 11, but 11 won't go into 12. And no other numbers go into 11 but 1, so yes it is. So your answer should be 11/12. Okay, let's look at the next one. Aaron did homework for 1/3 of an hour. And Shania did homework for 9/10 of an hour. How much longer did Shania spend on homework? How much longer did she spend? Think about this. Does this mean add or subtract? Yes, it is subtract. You want to know how much more 9/10 is. So Shania spent more time on her homework. Okay, so we're going to put the 9/10 first because it's the bigger fraction. We're going to subtract 1/3, find out how much longer Shania spent on her homework than Aaron. Okay, I want you to hit pause on the video. And then when you get the problem all the way done, click play. Okay, now that you're done, let's check your denominator. So the number that 3 and 10 both go into, the least common denominator is 30. 10 times 3 is 30. 9 times 3 is 27. So if you have 27, 30 is for your first fraction. 3 times 10 is 30. 1 times 10 is 10. Now we're subtracting, so we're going to take 27 minus 10 to get 17 thirtieths. So see if you have 17 thirtieths. That is in simplest form. Okay, look at the next question. John ran 2/3 of a mile and then took a break. After his break, he ran 4/5 of a mile. How many miles did he run altogether? Think to yourself, does that mean add or subtract? How many miles did he run altogether? Yes, it is add. That means I'm going to take 2/3 and add 4/5. Now what I want you to do is write this problem on your paper. After you get it written down, hit pause, work the whole thing out, get your final answer, and then click play, and we'll see how you did. Okay, now that you're back, see if you changed your denominator to 15. 3 times 5 is 15. Let's see, 3 times 5 is 15, 2 times 5 is 10. See if you got a 10/15 for the first fraction. 5 times 3 is 15, 4 times 3 is 12. Now remember, we're adding, so if I add 10 and 12, I get 22 15ths. But remember, that's improper because 22 is bigger than 15, so we have to divide. So see if you took 22 and divided by 15. 15 goes into 22 once. 1 times 15 is 15. When I subtract, I get 7. So if I go in a circle, my answer should be 1 and 7/15. That is in simplest form. Okay, so on the next few word problems, what we're going to do is we're going to read it, and I just want you to decide whether we should add or subtract. Okay, so it says Amy ate 5/8 of a chocolate cake and her friend ate 1/6 of a chocolate cake. How much more chocolate cake did Amy eat? If the question wants to know how much more did Amy eat, should we add or subtract? Yes, you should subtract because we want to know how much bigger is 5/8 compared to 1/6. Okay, let's look at another word problem. Erica cut 7/8 inches of her hair off and then decided to cut a 1/2 inch more. How much of her hair did she cut off altogether? Should we add or subtract? We should add. If it says how much altogether, you should be adding. Okay, so now it's time for you to take your quiz in Canvas. Remember to get a common denominator. And if you get a mixed number like 1 and 2/3, make sure you answer it as 1 and 2 fraction bar 3. Good luck on your quiz.